Imagine it is 2 in the morning. The house is quiet. Your phone is face down. You are sitting somewhere you never expected to be sitting, maybe on the kitchen floor, maybe at the edge of your bed, maybe in a room that suddenly feels much too large. Something happened. Maybe you lost someone. Maybe you got news that changed your life. Maybe nothing happened that you can explain, but you cannot stop crying. Then your dog walks over. No one called them. You did not say, "Come here." They simply cross the room, put their head in your lap, and stay. And in that moment, it feels like they know. But do they? Do animals actually understand when we are sad? Or are we looking at a comforting behavior and giving it a meaning that only exists in our own minds? The answer is more interesting than either extreme. Your dog may not understand grief the way you understand grief. They may not know who died, why you are crying, what tomorrow means, or what memory is hurting you. But science suggests they can notice that something is different. Very different. When a person is distressed, the body changes. Our voices shift. Our faces move differently. We may become quieter or louder. Our posture changes. Our breathing changes. The way we walk, sit, smell, and look at the world can change too. To another human, some of those signals may be subtle. To a dog, they may be impossible to miss. Dogs live in a world built from scent. Their noses are not just stronger versions of ours. They are a different way of experiencing reality. A dog can gather information from the air, the ground, clothing, hands, breath, and sweat that a human cannot consciously detect at all. In one experiment, researchers collected breath and sweat samples from people before and after a stressful task. Dogs were then asked to identify the stress sample among other samples. The dogs performed far above chance. That does not mean your dog smells one molecule called sadness. Human emotion is not that simple. But it does mean that a stressed body can produce detectable changes in scent, and dogs can notice those changes. So when you are upset, your dog may be receiving information from you before you even speak. But smell is only one piece of the puzzle. Dogs also watch. They watch your face. They learn your routines. They notice if you move slowly, if your shoulders drop, if your voice sounds different, if you stop doing the little things you normally do. A dog that lives with you is not merely sharing your home. It is studying you. Not like a scientist with a notebook. More like a social animal whose safety, comfort, food, play, sleep, and affection are all connected to the behavior of the people around it. Your dog may know the sound of your car before you enter the driveway. It may know the difference between getting dressed for a walk and getting dressed for work. It may know when you're opening food, when you're picking up keys, and when you're about to leave. So it should not surprise us that dogs can also notice emotional changes. The harder question is what those changes mean to the dog. In a well-known study, researchers observed how dogs responded when people pretended to cry, hum, or talk normally. The dogs were more likely to approach the crying person than the people who were humming or talking. Even more surprising, the dogs did not only approach their owners. They also approached unfamiliar people who appeared distressed. Some dogs sniffed, nuzzled, or licked the crying stranger. Their body language was often described as subdued rather than playful or excited. That is powerful, but it does not prove that dogs experience empathy exactly as humans do. Empathy is a big word. It can mean many things. At one level, it can mean noticing that another creature is upset. At another level, it can mean emotionally reacting to that distress. At its most complicated, it can mean understanding that someone else has an inner experience different from your own and wanting to help them. Humans can do all of these things, at least sometimes. Animals may do some of them too, but scientists have to be careful. A dog coming closer to a crying person could reflect concern. It could reflect emotional contagion, where one animal becomes affected by another's emotional state. It could reflect learning, because the dog has discovered that staying close during quiet moments is safe or rewarding. Or it could be a mixture of all three. The honest answer is that we cannot climb inside a dog's mind and ask, "What are you feeling right now?" But we can observe something real. The dog noticed distress. The dog changed its behavior. The dog came closer. That matters. And dogs are not the only animals that seem able to read human emotions. Horses have been living alongside humans for thousands of years. They have carried us, worked with us, raced beside us, and learned to pay close attention to our bodies. A horse can react to a tiny change in tension on a rein, a shift in weight, a sudden movement, or the mood of a rider. For a large prey animal that survives by detecting danger early, reading the behavior of others is not a cute talent. It is survival. Researchers have shown horses images of human facial expressions while playing human voices that carried emotional signals. When the voice and face did not match, for example, an angry face paired with a positive voice, the horses reacted differently. They looked longer. They responded faster. Their behavior suggested that they noticed something was wrong with the combination. That does not mean a horse is quietly thinking, this person is pretending to be happy. But it does suggest that horses can connect information from faces and voices. They do not only see a human expression, they can compare what they see with what they hear. That is a remarkable ability. It means that when a nervous person approaches a horse while trying to look calm, the horse may be receiving a confusing message. The face says one thing, the voice says another, the body says something else, and the horse is paying attention. Cats make the story even more complicated. Dogs are often obvious. They run toward you, they lean on you, they stare at you, they follow you from room to room. Cats can be much harder to read. A cat may stay nearby without touching you. It may sit quietly at the edge of the room. It may appear and disappear. It may act exactly like it does every day, which can make it difficult to know whether it noticed anything at all. But research suggests that cats are not completely indifferent to human emotions. In experiments, cats showed modest responses to emotional cues from people, especially from their owners. Other studies suggest many cats look back and forth between a familiar person and a strange object, using the person's emotional reaction as information about whether the object may be safe or dangerous. That does not mean every cat will comfort a crying person. Cats are individuals. Some are deeply social, some are independent, some will climb into your lap when you are sad. Some will leave the room because your crying is loud, unfamiliar, or stressful. But a quiet cat staying close may not be doing nothing. It may be observing. It may be choosing proximity without making a scene. And then there are social animals whose lives depend heavily on the group. Herd animals must notice panic quickly. If one animal suddenly runs, freezes, snorts, or becomes tense, the others need to decide whether danger is real. A herd that ignores distress may not remain a herd for very long. That is why sensitivity to emotion can be useful without needing to be human-like. A horse does not need to understand heartbreak to notice that a companion is frightened. A dog does not need to understand death to notice that its person is crying, still and smelling different. An animal may not need to understand the story to recognize the signal. That is an important distinction. Sometimes when people say, "My dog knew I was sad," skeptics respond, "No, your dog only noticed a change in behavior." But that answer can miss the point. Noticing a change in behavior is not nothing. It is the first step in almost every form of social connection. Humans do it too. You may know something is wrong with a friend before they tell you. You notice they are speaking more quietly. You notice their messages have changed. You notice they do not laugh at the usual joke. You notice they are not eating, sleeping, or looking at you the same way. You may not know the reason, but you know enough to ask, "Are you okay?" Animals cannot ask that question in words. They ask it with attention, with a nose against your hand, with a horse turning its ears toward you, with a cat sitting quietly nearby, with a dog placing its head in your lap. And sometimes that is more powerful than language. Still, we should resist turning every animal behavior into a perfect human emotion. A dog that comes close may be seeking comfort for itself. Your distress may make the dog anxious. A cat may purr because it is calm, but purring can also happen in stressful situations. A horse may react to fear because it senses danger, not because it feels sympathy. Animals are not tiny humans in fur. They have their own senses, instincts, social worlds, and ways of responding. But refusing to call them human does not mean we have to call them empty. The evidence tells us that many animals can perceive emotional signals. Some can distinguish positive and negative expressions. Some can respond to stress odors. Some can become emotionally affected by the states of others. Some change their behavior when another animal or a human is distressed. Whether that becomes full empathy is still debated. Scientists use careful language because the inner experience of another species is difficult to prove. We can measure heart rate. We can record behavior. We can test reactions to voices, faces, smells, and tears. But we cannot ask a dog what it felt when it saw you cry. And maybe that mystery is part of why the moment feels so powerful. Your dog did not need the whole story. It did not need the names, the dates, the explanation, or the words you could not say. Something changed in you. Your body said it. Your face said it. Your smell said it. Your silence said it. And the animal beside you noticed. Maybe it was empathy. Maybe it was emotional contagion. Maybe it was learning built from years of loving the same person. Maybe it was all of those things tangled together. But the result was simple. You were hurting, and they came closer. Has an animal ever done that for you? Tell us in the comments and subscribe to Andy for more incredible stories about the minds, instincts, and hidden lives of animals.